You want to come in? Or?
Yeah, measurement is an interesting thing, and there's a saying out there that economics without mathematics is poetry. And that said, we need poetry. We really do to get that vision out to the public. But mathematics offers some spectacular tools for these things. And one of the things we notice, if you look at something like debt is a promise made currently to return the money in future productivity. Well, an innovation is also an investment made today with a promise to return future productivity. So innovation and debt are blood brothers. They're sister. I mean, they're mirror images of each other. So an innovation-based currency can survive much like a debt-based currency. In fact, an innovation-based currency can compete with a debt-based currency very, very well, much more effectively. So we have to now look at what is innovation. If you look at communities, the rate of change of knowledge with respect to time can be used as an excellent proxy for innovation. So if you measure a great deal, like at this conference itself, there's a great deal of knowledge being exchanged with respect to time, a lot of knowledge in a short amount of time, that is a proxy for innovation occurring. So now you can build a system on that. So the idea, of course, is to accelerate the rate of change of knowledge, and now that would support your currency. Now, if you understand some of these terms, that's just a derivative, and just like interest is the rate of change of money with respect to time. So it's not an unfamiliar concept.
Right.
In terms of mathematics, it sounds all clinical, but it really isn't. So we could use that same calculus that Wall Street is using against us back at you in a social currency. So that's really a lot closer than a lot of people think.
Back at John.
Yeah, there's a popular saying that says economists are just accountants, but without the personality.
Right.
And if you want to really understand it, economics is just a sub-branch, a pretty important one, of sociology.
It is, yeah.
You know, and that's where a lot of people go wrong. If you want to see the impact of social capital, just look what happened quietly last Thursday. The Egyptian military opened their first Facebook page.
Oh, really?
Now, Mubarak is feeling the pain of social capital. These are just comments. The question I have is, what do you think about the internet off switch that's been talked about so much, mostly by totalitarian countries and fascists and dictators, but also picked up by the Obama administration?
In the context of
social
intangible assets,
capital.
social capital.
Yeah, because
So I'll just repeat
a lot of the continuum of social interaction inhabits a lot of the internet. There's a lot of activity on the internet that creates the social firmament that we live in.
I've got a conjecture on that.
Well, just real fast to repeat it for the recording. That the question is, what about the internet off switch? Basically, I mean, if social capital is at the core of all of this, and we've seen certainly in the Middle East the value of that. Just recently, there's been talk about turning off the internet, which was tried in Egypt, and now the U.S. is funding. I assume we're talking about funding a project to make sure that no one can turn off the internet. Is that right, John? Well, but that's they just budgeted $25 million for the U.S. government to help in difficult. That's what you're talking about, right?
I like to frame it.
Okay.
I like to frame it in the conversation of intangible assets. If you look at the kind of most structures like the Mubarak regime and empire, is the authoritarian model that says the centralized body controls the definition of value and the frame within which social capital is measured. And turning off the internet switch is basically saying we don't want the public to define what they determine or to create value in the social capital arena. I think that's kind of what that attempt was to turn off the capacity for the public to create their own social capital.
Ultimately, the knowledge economy is much more even subversive than people realize. I mean, it ultimately turns the power structure on its head, right? And you know, to the extent that you ignore that in the long run, it's going to be a problem. I mean, we talked about this in the build-up to the panel that you know, Facebook turned to Goldman Sachs to raise a huge amount of money. Twitter just raised money with another big investment bank. JP Morgan, that's right, another classic name. So ultimately, if you've assembled a company where all the value is in the network, will the old models of control of capital continue to have force, or will there be some kind of new movement?
On that note, there's a quality where if you look at the owners of Facebook or Twitter, our current model of incentivization has made it such that the owners of those companies are given only one measuring stick for success, which is how much money can I get out of the system. Yet if we define ways of creating new sets of creating value and creating a more resilient culture around the businesses, then there might be a way for those owners or those founders to harness value without having as many dollars, because of the complexity of the relationships that can be found in the value creation in the network.
That's the flaw, right there. That's the flaw in market economics.
And to that point, I found a post a while back that I just want to reference for just referencing. GDP is what we all know is the measuring stick for the success of our economy, but there are many other ways of doing it. There are 4 key ones that I'll just reference and you can look up on the internet. The Human Development Index is a way of measuring based on a certain set of metrics. The Satisfaction with Life Index, and also the Happy Planet Index, that are all measures that are trying to solve the same question of what GDP is addressing, yet including things far more than how much money did we spend. So the same kind of thing, if we insert those into the Facebook, Twitter discussion, then there might be a different incentive for the Facebook owner to give stock away or share it with the public that are on the Facebook instead of taking it from Goldman Sachs.
Right there.
I would actually, about the internet kill switch, go so far as to say that in the direction that we're moving, that I think right to internet access we're going to soon start thinking of as a basic human right. That really shouldn't be able to be denied by any governmental regime or anything like that. And the reason for that is we do have new old economies emerging. When I say new, I'm speaking about their scale. When I say old, I'm speaking about their substance. Like we've had family and tribal economics. We've had more efficient ways of sharing resources than market economies. I know that that's like a sacred cow to imply that the market economy is not efficient, but it isn't as efficient as social economies. And so as we increase our efficiency by enabling social economies and social currencies, the means by which we do that are these high-tech communications mediums. That's how we do it at the large scale. We've been able to do it in families and tribes forever, in tiny scales. And so the whole idea of having an internet kill switch, it basically is about suppressing all of those other, for lack of a better word, self-empowerment architectures that are peer-to-peer based.
Yeah, and we saw those take down a government after government in the Middle East in a matter of hours, weeks, and a couple months now.
Right.
Why can't that happen for healthcare or the financial offerings, particularly healthcare? Healthcare is the worst. Have you seen anything?
Give it time.
Yeah, I think it can and will.
Yeah, but
It's just a matter of time.
how can you take down a totalitarian government that's been there for 30 years in a matter of hours and weeks? I don't see anything happening.
Well,
Healthcare is based on a 19th century economic model. None of the social capital movements are tackling the biggest problem that we have in our own selfish culture here today. Any comments on